So, to God be the glory, great things He hath done. Will you stand as we sing? To God be the glory, great things He hath done. So loved He the world that He gave us His Son, who yielded His life as atonement for sin, and opened the life gate that all may go in. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, let the earth hear His voice. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, let the people rejoice. Oh, come to the Father through Jesus the Son, and give Him the glory, great things He has done. Oh, perfect redemption, the purchase of God, to every believer, a promise of God. The promise offender who truly will be a wonder mountains for victorious receive. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, let the earth hear His voice. Praise the Lord, let the people rejoice. Oh, come to the Father through Jesus the Son, and give Him the glory, great things He has done. Great things He has taught us, great things He hath done, and greater rejoicing through Jesus the Son. Oh, gloriously higher and greater will be our wonder of victory when Jesus we see. Praise the Lord, let the earth hear His voice. Praise the Lord, let the people rejoice. Oh, come to the Father through Jesus the Son, and give Him the glory, great things He has done. Amen.
Hey, Brother Eddie, you can sit down, it's all right. As long as you're 6 feet apart, you can sit down. I am so glad to see you guys. I feel like now there's real people that I get to speak to instead of walls. And Erin, who feels like she's probably heard everything I have to say about the Bible. And but she has been so faithful and steady, and I appreciate her so much. She did a lot of work on getting us live and getting us on YouTube, and you know, we reached a lot of people that we had no clue. The online views, which mean, now I don't know all the numbers, I don't know what they all mean. It looks like my batting average. The total online views of the sermons were 1,634, and the Bible says 1,525. So we reached people who we don't normally reach. That's why we are still live streaming and recording. It'll be put on YouTube later tonight, but we have gained some folks that can't be here for whatever reason, and we want to keep them. And so now that we've made, especially now that we've made it possible for them to be a part in their life and take care of their offerings and their tithes. That was a big question for a lot of people. I have to say, I was so proud that our church was so faithful. You were faithful to tune in and watch. You were faithful to give. And man, I am just grateful to be here, and I'm glad to see you. Now we're we're going to change up a little bit, our format a little bit, and so please be patient with us. I have an announcement, unless it's on my desk and I don't have it. Okay, Thelma Center, Gerald's mother passed away. Her viewing and visitation will be Tuesday from 11 till 12 at Birch Walker Tippett. And then the funeral service will be held in the pavilion outside the next day at 10 a.m. And so we want you to know that, and if you would like to, the pavilion is large enough, and we're out there at the cemetery, you can spread out and nobody contaminate anybody, okay?
Further on, till 2 o'clock, it's 11 to 2.
11 to 2, okay, thank you for correcting me that. 11 to 2 o'clock on the visitation, okay. What else am I forgetting? I've already forgotten what I forget. May the 25th, Monday, May the 25th is Memorial Day. We will celebrate it here in the church on Sunday the 24th, okay? I don't know how, by hook or by crook. We're praying for a flagpole by then, so we can put our flag up. I think we ought to observe all of our national holidays the right way, and flying the flag is a great way to do that. And so, if you'd like to be a part of that, and you want to, and you'd like to chip in $2,000 or $3,000, give it to Becky, and she'll take it. I don't know what she'll do with it, but she'll take it. Wednesday night, this Wednesday night, instead of being live streamed, we'll be back out here in our fellowship hall. There's plenty of room, and I am just so tired of not preaching to walls. I'm so glad to see you guys. I can't tell you how. I couldn't sleep last night. I think that was an old song. I couldn't sleep at all last night. But anyways, Wednesday night, 6 p.m., our Bible study, we're serving no meals right now, because at this time to serve a meal, it has to be individually wrapped, it has to be handled with care, it has to be individually handed to the person that's going to consume it, and then those that are working with the food have to go through all this stuff. So we're not doing that yet, but we will. The offering and the offertory today will be canceled because, except for Carlita's playing, the baskets at the back door of the auditorium are there for you to put your tithes and offerings in, okay? And we'll just leave them right there, and they'll be fine. Sunday school will resume next Sunday morning, so we want you to be here for that. And remember the tent revival and be praying about that. Okay, that's all that. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. Our moms are pretty special. Everybody that I've ever known has a mom. Everybody that I ever have known has a belly button. Everybody except Adam and Eve. They didn't have one, I don't think. But every one of us does, and that means we were given birth by our moms. And human birth is still one of the most incredibly wonderful gifts and miracles that God provides us with on a daily basis. And so whenever we get to thank you moms who go through all that, I always said if motherhood is so wonderful, why does it begin with something called labor? Hello? I know you're out there, I see you. All right. Right now, we're going to get back to our service, and Brother Alex, you're going to come and lead us in another hymn, and then we're going to recognize our moms. All right?
Okay, instead of what's in the bulletin, you'll turn to 505. Send the light, the blessed gospel light. As the call comes ringing o'er the restless plain, sing the light, sing the light. There are souls to rescue, there are souls to save. Sing the light, sing the light, sing the light, the blessed gospel light, let it shine from shore to shore. Sing the light, the blessed gospel light, let it shine forevermore. We have heard the Macedonian call to raise, sing the light, and the golden offering at the cross we lay. Sing the light, sing the light, sing the light, the blessed gospel light, let it shine from shore to shore. Sing the light, the blessed gospel light, let it shine forevermore. Let us not grow weary in the work of love. Sing the light, sing the light, let us carry it to and fro. Sing the light, sing the light, sing the light, the blessed gospel light, let it shine from shore to shore. Sing the light, the blessed gospel light, let it shine forevermore.
Now, this is the time of Mother's Day service that's always interesting. The youngest mother, the oldest mother, or the most experienced, maybe I should put it that way, mother. And there are a lot of other mothers involved in between there, like who has how many kids, how many kids are in attendance today, how many that, yada. And so we want to recognize our members. And if you are here and you're a mom, well, I guess I couldn't do it if you weren't here. If you're here and you're a mom and you're under 40, stand up. Well, we do, I do. We have Erin, and this is our daughter Megan. We appreciate both of you. Thank you for being moms. While you're standing, let me also say this. Ladies, on your way out the door today, please take one of those long stem red roses. That's what they're for. They're for you, okay? And we're going to present Erin Eckerman as our youngest mom. So if you would come, Sonia has got something she's going to present to you. tell you what, if she hadn't been so faithful and worked so hard doing what she did, we would have never kept on having church, but we did.
Amen.
Now, for the delicate part, so we're going to ask for the most experienced mother here of our membership, okay? If we have a mom here over the age of 60, please stand.
Oh, please.
Well, now look at here. Look at all of you young ladies. If we have someone, if you're below 65, you can sit down. Oh, that thinned it out considerably, didn't it? If you're below 68, you can sit down. If you're below 69, you can sit down. Okay, if you're below 75, you can sit down.
I sat down.
And so look who we have standing. Miss Mullen, James, would you come up here, please? Yeah, you're the most experienced mom here.
Brother Mike.
We want to recognize you. And so thank you. You tell your husband that's what he gets for not joining the church already. We appreciate you. God bless. I think that's all we're doing to remember our moms, except to say thank you to all of you. This is a special day to remember mothers on Father's Day, our Father's Day. Every Sunday's his day. Amen.
Amen.
And it's so special to get to call out to our moms. You know, moms are people that martyr themselves for the sake of their family, not just their kids, but a lot of times mostly their husbands. And we appreciate it more than you will know. We're thankful that you're here today and we get to share this time with you. Brother Alex, if you'll come, and we're going to sing. Oh, yes, go right ahead. Microphone is yours.
M is for the million things she gave me. O means only that she's growing old. T is for the tears she shed to save me. H is for her heart of purest gold. E is for her eyes with love light shining. R means right, and right will always be. Put them all together, they spell mother. The one who means the world to me. Amen. That was recorded by Eddie Arnold in the 50s when I was in high school. Now if you'll join me singing hymn number 546, I will sing the wondrous story, and will you stand as we sing? I will sing the wondrous story of the Christ who died for me. Now he left his home in glory for the cross of Calvary.
I'm not on. Am I on yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to find a song that I felt like was a good song for today because we're back in church. And it feels so good to be back among all of you and be playing the piano and singing for you. And I found a song, and it's an old Gaither song. And I wish Gloria Gaither was here to help with it because there's a little part in the middle where she speaks. And I don't think I can do that speaking and playing at the same time, so we're just going to leave that part out. But this is a song called The Church Triumphant. If you know it, you can sing along. Let the church be the church. Let the people rejoice. For we've settled the question. We've made our choice. Let the anthems ring out. Songs of victory swell. For the church triumphant is alive and well. You know the ship's been through some battles before. The storms and the tempest and all the rocks on the shore. Though the hull may be battered, inside it's safe and dry. It's gonna carry its cargo to the port in the sky. Let the church be the church. Let the people rejoice. For we settled the question. We've made our choice. Let the anthems ring out. Songs of victory swell. For the church triumphant. The church triumphant. I know the church triumphant is alive. It's alive and well.
Carlita, a more appropriate song you could
Not have sung, and you did it beautiful. Love that song. Before we start this morning, I think we ought to go to the Lord in prayer. And boy, I'm so glad to see you guys. Gosh, we just missed y'all so much, you know. And I hate not having a greeting time, but the only way I felt like you could keep your hands to yourself was not having a greeting time. I know Baptists too well, okay? It's like food. If we had food, we couldn't keep you from eating. So we're just so glad that you're here this morning. And Carlita, we're thankful that you're here. Both you and Kimberly are here today. And I'm glad to see Brother Alex and his lovely wife. I just, you just go down the list and you miss everybody. And I have not been harassed by the sisters. And I'm so glad to see them. But anyway, before we begin, in earnest, I'd like to go to the Lord in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we, as the church, come before you and offer our praise, our lives, our hearts. We are rejoicing today that we are back in close proximity fellowship. And Father, even though the church has never died, it's never gone away, it's never changed. It's just wonderful to be together with them again. We can't wait as the days open up and we get to get back to a normal routine. And Lord, I just don't believe it's going to be a new normal. It's just going to be a regular normal. And we're going to get back and we're going to be able to praise you and sing, and we're going to have this great revival. We've got things coming up, and I'm so excited about it. So we ask this morning, God, as we look in your word, that you would be glorified and be honored by what is said, and that you would speak your message to our hearts individually. And for that, we will give you all the glory in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
If you would stand for the reading of the word, please. We're in Proverbs chapter 31, verse 30. I'm just going to read one verse. Chapter 31, verse 30. The writer says, following this chapter, if you're familiar with it, charm is deceitful and beauty is passing, but a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Amen. You may sit down. Sonia and I we try to every year, remember our moms, and both of our moms have gone on to be with Jesus, but we like to remember them with a little floral arrangement. But we also want you to know that this floral arrangement is in honor of you as well. And we just are thankful. Moms are real. Moms have to be real because life is real. Moms have to be tough because life is tough. Amen? I want to read a little something. You may not think this has anything at all to do with Mother's Day, but it has to do with my great-grandmother. And who was a wonderful lady. She died at the age of 105. And she and my great-grandfather homesteaded in central Oklahoma and built a home half in the ground and half out of the ground, out of stone, and they laid linoleum down over bare dirt floors, and the ceiling was only 7 feet tall, and they had one coal oil heater in there, wood fire heater, I'm sorry, cast iron wood heater. And I learned a lot about life there, okay? I learned that my great-grandmother's greatest gift was a pump handle on the sink. That was the greatest gift she could have got. And then when I was in high school, they got rural electricity to their house. And they had one light bulb in the house. And then, after I got out of high school, was gone off and came back, they had indoor plumbing. You may take that for granted. But I didn't take it for granted, because when I spent summers with my great-grandparents hauling alfalfa hay and doing other various sundry items, I had to get up and go to the outhouse. And if you went to the outhouse, if I went to the outhouse at night, they had a goose. And this goose had a hatred in her for me that I don't know where it came from. I never threatened to kill her or eat her or nothing. But every time I went to the outhouse, I'd be chased by this goose. And she'd be flapping her wings. and scared me to death. And they waited till I was out of high school and gone before they got indoor plumbing, so I wouldn't have to go out and endure that. But anyway, I think of my great-grandmother, Shackelford, and when I read this to you, I'm thinking of her, but I'm also thinking about moms. Because over the course of your life as a mother, it's kind of the way love is, okay? This is taken a piece of the story called The Velveteen Rabbit by Marjorie Williams. It says this: the skin horse had lived in the nursery longer than any of the others. He was so old that his brown coat was bald in patches and showed the seams underneath him. And most of the hairs in his tail had been pulled out to make string necklaces. He was wise, for he'd seen a long succession of mechanical toys arrive to boast and swagger, and by their mainsprings broke, and they passed away. And they knew they were only toys and would never turn into anything else. For nursery magic is very strange and wonderful. And only those playthings that are old and wise and experienced, like the skin horse, understand all about it. And the Velveteen Rabbit came up next to the horse one day and said, "What is real?" And the rabbit said, "Does it mean having things inside you that buzz and a stick handle?" The skin horse replied, "Real isn't how you're made. It's a thing that happens to you. When a child loves you for a long, long time, not just to play with, but really loves you, you become real." "Does it hurt?" asked the rabbit. "Sometimes," said the skin horse, for he was always truthful. "When you are real, you don't mind being hurt. Does it happen all at once, like being wound up, or bit by bit?" "It doesn't happen all at once," said the skin horse. "You become. It takes a long time, and that's why it doesn't often happen to people who break easily, or have sharp edges, or have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you're real, most of your hair's been loved off, and your eyes drop out, and you get loose in the joints and very shabby. But these things don't matter at all, because once you're real, you can't be ugly except to the people that don't understand." That's the way it is with our mothers. We abuse them, we use them, we play with them, we cry on them, we cry for them, and they're usually just about always there. The writer of Proverbs, Solomon, knew that he had written that he who finds a good woman finds a good thing. And so if you've found a good woman, you have found a good thing, and you're highly blessed. You need to understand that.
Amen.
What is a godly mother? What does she act like? What does she look like? She doesn't look like the skin horse. I just like the story. What are those things about her that say to her family, she's worth far more than rubies? That's what Solomon said. She's worth far more than rubies. Maybe you had Harriet Nelson as a mother. And all of us wish we did, because Harriet Nelson never raised her voice, and certainly not her hand. Now, I understand that by the faces, a lot of you have no clue who Harriet Nelson was. but she was married to Ozzy. And they had a son named Ricky. And they had another son, I can't remember. But nobody had a mom like Harriet Nelson. If you had a mom like Harriet Nelson, something was wrong in your family. Because you only had moms like that on television, and only in the 50s. I mean, as time went on, it just couldn't sustain itself because everybody knew there is no Harriet Nelson in my house. Everyone, though, does have a mother. And yet, sadly, sometimes, like more and more often with dads, not all mothers are good and godly. If you have a good and godly mother, be thankful. Cherish her. Remember that she is good and that she is godly, especially today. So who is a godly mother? She's a woman of faith and not fear. She's a woman of frailty and strength. She's a woman secure in her future and wants that for her children. Well, she's secure in her faith. What does that mean? Well, number one, motherhood ought to begin with marriage. And we're not hearing quite as much about abstinence right now as we did a few years ago. But it certainly is a topic that needs to be brought up again. We teach abstinence. And, a godly mother starts out there. It begins with motherhood begins with marriage. The writer of Proverbs says, "Whoso findeth a good wife findeth a good thing and obtains the favor of the Lord." Finding a good wife is a journey of faith. And for a woman, finding a good and godly husband is even a greater journey of faith. It's not easy nowadays to find a good and godly husband. Women, I realize this. I see this out there. And I am painfully aware of what it is to be a grown-up, good old boy riding around on Friday nights in the back of the pickup when you're 25 years old. I understand what that is, and I've always had these little girls, pretty little girls. I've never lived in a place that had more pretty girls than East Texas. And they would come in, these precious little girls, and I would say, "You know who this guy is?" Yeah, I know. I grew up with him, known him all my life. I said, "No, you don't know him. Trust me. Since hormones kicked in, you don't know him. You don't have a clue. You don't know what his mind, where it's going, but I do, because I used to be that guy." I told our daughter, she would bring home some of these guys. "You be careful." "Well, why, Daddy? You don't even know." "I know, but I was him." I can speak with authority. I'm not going to tell you all the stories. Pretty girl. She had 5 brothers, and so they were pretty rough on the guys that come in. They'd line up on either side of the front door, and they'd have to go through all the 5 brothers. And then he'd get to me, and I'd be standing down at the end of a double-barrel shotgun. Megan didn't think that was cute. But the godly mother knows how to turn her worries and her fears over to God. Because a woman's life as wife and mother has got to be one of absolute faith in God. It's bad enough being a parent right now, raising children. I can't imagine raising children in this day and age. Can you? I mean, I don't know all of the stuff that you go through with, but up until a couple of years ago, I was a football chaplain in a high school, and I was at the school all the time. And so I saw a lot of stuff that went on. I heard a lot of the things that went on, and a lot of the things that went on that kids in my day would have we would have got sent to the principal's office, and you did not know because you only heard the rumor he had an electric paddle. And you didn't want to go there because that electric paddle had holes in it, which made it even worse. Now, I never got that, but I heard about it. So if you're going to be a godly woman, you got to be a woman of absolute faith in God. The opposite of faith is fear. We can live in faith, we can live in fear. We live in a world today where it seems to me that our politicians, our media types, our print media, they want us to live in fear. I'm not going to do it. I refuse to do it. I have enough common sense to observe and be cautious about the things that we do. I know about highly infectious diseases. I know that I'm the target age group. And I also know God knows how many days I got.
Amen.
And I don't have any more, and I don't have any less. And if one of you infects me today, and I'm dead in 3 weeks, well, it's on you. Don't want to live in fear. And in the years that I've spent in ministry, I've known women who have had to live in fear. And it's so sad. They're afraid that they can't take care of or even feed their children. They're afraid of an abusive, drunken husband. They're afraid that the finances are not going to make it to the end of the month. They're emotionally afraid. What a terrible existence to have to exist in fear. But the godly mother knows how to turn her fears all over to the Lord. Moms have a tendency to worry. Okay? It's built in you. It's part of your nesting thing. I don't know. But us dads, we just give them sticks and send them off in the woods. That's fine. Go knock each other out. Just don't poke each other in the eye. But moms always worry over their kids, but they've learned how to give over all those fears and worries to an all-knowing, all-powerful God. That's the only way that you can be a successful, godly mom. You got to give it up to God. You say, Father, I don't know how to be a godly mom, so I'm just going to trust you to guide me into doing what I'm supposed to do. Listen, that's a good lesson for men. And Father's Day is coming, so I'm not going to shoot all my bullets there about men. At the command of Pharaoh, you recall, all of the infant Hebrew boys were to be killed, but by faith, Moses' mother hid him, could hide him no longer, and she got a papyrus basket for him. She coated it with tar and pitch, and then she placed the child in it and put it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile. Faith and fear, she had a choice to make. Mothers today, you don't have to make a choice about sending your baby away or hiding him in a little boat in the weeds and send that boat down the river. But you do have to do hard things. Loving them when they're not lovable. Loving them when they're not lovely. Those are hard things. And the kids don't usually understand that when they're not lovable, we're going to love them anyway. Amen. Sometimes we don't like them, but we got to love them. And you may not send them down the Nile River in a basket, but you're going to send them down the river of life. And all you can do is hope and pray that what you have done was prepare for them this vessel that they could go down the river of life in and be protected. And by the time they get to the place where they can take care of themselves, they'll be okay. There may be a few bumps and bruises and scrapes and cuts and stitches over the years, but by and large they arrive whole. Okay? And so moms do have to love them, and moms do have to send them on down the road of life. And you can't give in to your fear, because life is scary, and you're sending your child out there into life, and you're saying, I have done what I can do. And I have helped prepare you the best that I am able to, whatever that may be, to whatever extent. Hopefully, spiritually, you've prepared them exceptionally for that world out there, that ungodly place. And so you have to send them out, and it is scary, no matter how well you prepared them. Just like you, God has given them their own will. And there comes a time when we realize that our will is no longer our children's will. That's difficult. That's hard. There came a time when my parents had to realize that their will was no longer my will. And I got out from that. I fled. I got away. I went to an easier life. I joined the Marines. And then I had a new father. He was a drill instructor. He was not nice. And he spoke in language I did not understand for a while. Fear says, keep your kids close. Keep your kids under your wings. Keep your kids and protect them. Even though you can't protect them. You know what I mean? You can't protect them from life. All their life. They too, just like you and I, have a number of days to live, and we don't know what that is. So what do? The world is a dangerous place. And turning your child loose into it is a fearful thing. When we sent our son to Iraq, we went to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and we watched him as he got ready and packed up, and all those young Marines at the 2nd Marine Division got on those buses, and they all left at the same time, and it was a sobering experience for me. I had been the second generation of my family, my dad being the first, having gone and having my parents stay and watching them weep and pray and whatever they did, and then having to watch my own go. I want to tell you what, it's a lot easier for me to go than it was to watch my own to go. And certainly for Mom, who in the first 72 hours after they went over the berm from Kuwait into Iraq, she never moved from the front of the television screen until I turned it off and unplugged it. So we're not going to do that. You know, there's 200,000 Marines over there, and you're not going to see Jason. But she was pretty sure she would. And it's a scary thing. But Peter says, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. You're going to worry yourself to death? Don't worry yourself to death. Cast all your cares on him because he loves you. He'll take care of all those anxieties and fears. And I know that it's easy for the preacher to stand up here and say, trust Jesus, trust Jesus, trust Jesus. Especially when you've got kids that are being kids, that you don't know which way they're going, which day they're going to be fine and great, and then they're going to be rebellious as they can be, and you don't know which way they're going. You send them out of the door of the house each day or each evening, and you just kind of go, oh Lord, please take care of my child. and then they're delivered home safely somehow, some way. You are human. You're going to make mistakes raising your children. Your children are human. They will make mistakes in their lives. God is divine. Amen? God is all powerful. God is all knowing. God is ever present. Can you trust Him? Yes. You can trust Him. If you can trust Him for your eternal life, you can certainly trust Him with your child. Well, a godly woman is a woman who is secure in her womanhood. I think this is appropriate for the days that we live in now. A godly woman is a woman of frailty and strength. Today, I'm afraid some women would take exception to being called frail, as though it was some disease. But being frail is not that at all. Frail, according to Mr. Webster, means easily broken, fragile, slight, sensitive. Okay? The inference here is not that women are inferior physically or intellectually in any way to man at all, but a recognition of the fact that a mother's emotions run far deeper than dad's. Dad says, give me that belt and I'll teach him something. Mom says, don't hit him too hard. Again, Peter says, husbands in the same way. Let me read it here. Husbands likewise dwell with them with understanding, giving honor to the wife as to the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers may not be hindered. Weaker vessel. Well, I've taken a lot of hits over the years for that, but I didn't write it. God did that. If you got to complain with that, take that up with Him. Leave me alone. The comparison being, Dad is a template. Okay? You can knock us around, you can beat us up, you can throw us in the river, you can wash us with sand, and we're good to go. Mom performs the same function, only much more elegantly. And it requires a little more care. While Dad's a tin plate, Mom is fine china. And we're to care for her that way, dads, husbands. Delicate, tender, but more than capable to do the job. That's where the strength comes in. Remember when two women came to King Solomon and they had both recently had children, had babies, and the one's baby died and the other one's lived, and so the mother of the dead baby stole the living baby from the other mother, and until the other mother cried out and appealed to the king and said, she stole my baby, she's got my baby, and the other woman said, no, it's my baby, I don't know what you're talking about, it's my child. And so Solomon, being Solomon, who at one time, before he had 400 wives, was the wisest man in the world, and he got a sword from a sword bearer next to him, and he held the baby up. And he said, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're just going to cut this buddy right down the middle, and you can have half, and you can have half. Well, the mother that was really the mother said, no, let her have the baby. She was so strong, she was willing to give up her child so that her child could have a life. Boy, that's a hard thing to understand. That kind of love. But that's the way moms love. That's the way it is with mothers. They sacrifice, they give. Every Mother's Day I miss my mom. I miss Sonia's mom. We ate some wonderful homegrown cabbage last night for supper. And her mom used to make a dish called halupcha. She made all these Russian things. Halupcha was awesome. It was like rolled up cabbage leaves stuffed with all kind of good stuff. But moms do those kind of things. They go out of the way to do those kinds of things. Being sensitive and being strong takes great faith. Jesus said in Matthew 16, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. Jesus said, listen, you're going to follow me, you're going to believe in me. If you're going to trust me with your child, what you need to do is lay that child down, give him to me, and take up this cross and follow me. That's what he asks all of us to do. Amen?
Amen.
That's not part of the part we like best. Was there ever a mother that was stronger than Jesus' mother Mary? Who watched him as he went through his life, being rejected from his own hometown, being rejected by his own siblings. And then being falsely accused and being so cruelly hurt and publicly humiliated and hanged on a cross to die over the course of 6 hours, and she was there for the whole thing. How do you do that? Enabled by God. God enables you to do that. That's that kind of love. A godly woman is secure in her future and desperately wants the same thing for her children. It should not be so, but many times mother has the greater spiritual impact on the child than dad. It's not the way it's set up. It's not the way God intended it. It's not what's in the book. The book said, Dad, you're the priest in the home. It's your responsibility. And you will be judged by how